Another day is another Friday. Is another episode of Friday Phil with yours truly. Hello, me, Phil. How's everyone doing? Happy Friday. I wish it was a happy Friday. Honestly, I'm not having that great of a Friday. Like, one of my awesome coworkers ended up getting another job. You know, good for him, but just sucks because work's not going to be the same now without him. And I'm a little torn up about that. I love talking to Bill about a whole bunch of different shit. So I'm a little torn up, little on the downs, little on the dumps. Just kind of sad. It's been a sad week for sure. And I knew it was happening. I knew it was coming. And I'm still just kind of sad about it. And then even the drive home just kind of sucked because everyone doesn't know how to fucking drive and use a goddamn blinker. Man, it's just been kind of a shitty Friday so far. And I'm hoping it'll turn around. But what I am going to do in honor of my pal getting a better job and moving on to better things and greener pastures and et cetera, and all that shit, I'm going to pour a shot. That's right, folks. I'm going to pour a shot of Jack Daniels, and I'm going to drink it straight. Wish me luck. What the fuck am I getting myself into? This is how depressed I am on a Friday. I feel like having a shot at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, I can smell it from here. Oh my God, this is going to be brutal. Thankfully, my Starbucks is right there too, so I'll have something to chase it down with afterwards. But yeah, I'll probably have some more of this on the vodka stream later, hopefully, if I get an invite. Hopefully I do. Much love, Dave. I love you, Dave. Part of the reason I started doing stuff like this, step into the YouTubes, people like him, people like Chainsaw, people like fucking Andy, people like Anthony, people just, you know, whole lot of good friends. And this shot is for my good friend, Bill. And I hope you have much fun at your new job. I hope we can still stay in touch. I hope, you know, I can still talk to you about Star Wars. I mean, he told me at the end of the shift, you know, we can still, you know, we'll still talk and whatnot. So this one's for you, buddy. Much love. Oh. Man. Woo! Straight shots. Oh my God. Those are something I haven't done since I was like a youngin'. By youngin', I mean like 21. But fuck. Holy shit. That was... So I always chase or make mixed drinks. I just do not like drinking straight anymore. Thank fuck for coffee. Anyway, let's see who's in here. We got Braden in the house. How's it going, man? We got a loyal viewer here in Braden. He's always been here every show since the beginning. Much love, bro. Did you see the Court of Owls Easter egg in the Penguin finale? If anyone's wondering what I'm talking about. When Oz goes to the court, there are curtains that look like owls. No, I didn't see that. I'll have to go back and watch it. And some might say it's Court of Owl. Interesting. Mwamba 85. How's it going? Finale of Penguin. Freaking amazing. Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2 was fucking amazing. That finale. Yeah, you know, been a lot of good finales. A lot of good stuff. Penguin was pretty fucking awesome. My buddy Craig and I recently did an episode of the Eternal Night podcast where we broke down... excuse me. We didn't really break down anything. We just kind of had a general conversation about the Penguin series overall and just like favorite moments, highlight moments, good stuff there. Because I hadn't talked to Craig in about almost 2 months. So he was off dealing with some personal stuff. We finally got the show back together. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that factors into the Batman Part 2, which that is part of the thumbnail. There is going to be some Batman talk here on the show today. That's for damn sure. You know, maybe I'll just get right into that, honestly. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So I'm not really going off you know, the stuff as it came out through the week. There's just been a whole lot of shit, especially today. Like there was a lot of a couple different things that got it out, like revealed or announced like today that I'm going to talk about. But for sure, first thing I'm going to talk about is Bruce Wayne apparently finding it hard to be Batman in the Batman Part 2. Now, this came from an interview with Digital Spy. And this was actually kind of interesting. Let's see. Just go ahead and pull up the bit from Digital Spy. Here we go. Share our screen, hit the present button, share screen, and then there we go. Okay. So, let's see the title. Batman's absence during the Penguin explained by Matt Reeves. Quote, it's a very, very dangerous time. The Batman spinoff show The Penguin has just wrapped up its season finale with a sneaky tease. The Cape Crusaders return as the famous bat signal lit up in the Gotham skyline. For anyone who hasn't seen the ending of The Penguin yet, yeah, the final moments of the first season end with the bat signal getting lit up after all the Penguin's escapades in terms of becoming the new kingpin of Gotham. However, many fans were left questioning why the iconic DC vigilante was absent throughout the show. Speaking exclusively to Digital Spy, the HBO crime drama's executive producer, Matt Reeves, who is the director of the Batman epic crime saga, unpacked the dramatic events of the Penguin season finale and revealed why Batman didn't intervene. Quote, this was a time of great turmoil in the city. It's literally the week after what happened. Much of the city is in desperation, so police can't get everywhere. There's crime everywhere. It's very, very dangerous time. Batman's out there trying to grapple with the aftermath of everything that happened, which to some degree he blames himself for. So it seems Oz Cobb may have successfully evaded consequences for now, while Batman's been busy attempting to deal with the fallout of Riddler's explosive plot. That's pun intended, I'm sure. However, now as the kingpin of Gotham's criminal underworld after the dethroning of Sophia Falcone, actually it's Gigante, but moving on, it may not be long before the Dark Knight catches up to him. Looking ahead to the Batman Part 2, Reeves revealed fans will see the titular hero entering a challenging new phase as he finds it very hard to be Batman. However, it's just not the return of Pattinson's Batman that was teased in the Penguin's finale. The closing scenes of the season also hinted at a comeback for Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman, a.k.a. Selina Kyle. Locked up once again in Arkham State Hospital, Sophia received a letter from her half-sister Selina. Will Catwoman return as an ally or an enemy to Batman? Fans will have to patiently wait to find out, as the next movie isn't set to be released until October of 2026. Now, what does this mean, right? Well, for starters, kind of reinforces the thing I've been talking about for a while in that, and Craig and I have talked about this too. I definitely think the Batman Part 2 is going to have much more of a focus, or at least there's going to be a larger, more light shined on Bruce Wayne as opposed to Batman. But then again, the movie is called The Batman Part 2. Therefore, Batman is probably going to be present. I think we're going to see more of Bruce Wayne, but I also think that that could mean many different things. I mean, he's still probably in his drifter outfit. He's probably for sure going to be saving people. I would have to imagine that while the Penguin was off becoming the new kingpin of Gotham, Batman was probably trying to save as many people as he can from drowning, from, collapsing buildings, from a whole bunch of different shit. And it's ironic because in the Penguin show, I think it's in the second or third episode, someone mentions that Gotham has essentially become a no man's land. And in the No Man's Land series, in the book, it's essentially what Batman's doing. He's out there every single night trying to clean up and save as much as he can while also trying to utilize Wayne Enterprises to help rebuild the city any way he can as well. So he's stretched very, very thin in terms of what Bruce and Batman are able to accomplish in wake of such a massive tragedy happening. Now, as for Selina Kyle, I don't know what her role in this film could be. I mean, clearly she rode off to Bloodhaven at the end of the first film. I'm sure she probably saw some of the news indicating that's probably what prompted her to see, and send a letter to her half-sister Sophia. As far as I know, the most prominent books that they've ever been featured in together were The Long Halloween and Dark Victory. And in both of those stories, they didn't really team up. It was more like hey, we're family kind of thing. And I feel like that since the Penguin took such drastic changes with some of these characters, I don't necessarily see the same thing happening with Catwoman and Sophia in this series. I think there's going to be something a little bit more personable there. I think there's going to be something a little bit more, kindred, a little bit more like you're the only family I have left type of situation. But I also think that both of these women are very, very flawed individuals, and they both deal with their trauma in very different ways. I mean, look at what happened with Sophia in those 8 episodes of The Penguin. So I don't know. I feel like they're going to bond over the fact that their father was kind of a deadbeat piece of shit. Even though he was like the richest crime lord in all of Gotham City, he still managed to be just an absolute terrible father to both of them. I mean, so he tried to strangle one, and then he had the other thrown into Arkham. You can't sit here and tell me Carmine Falcone does not like women, because he doesn't. I mean, for crying out loud, he fucking murdered his ex-wife. So it's going to be very interesting to see what angle they're going to write Bruce Wayne with in the second part of this epic crime saga, and how exactly he moves forward with, essentially kind of taking a little bit of the responsibility of what happened in Gotham City being on him, because the Riddler says, I more or less, he did it because he wanted Batman's attention. He had his help along the way, kind of implying that they were like partners, even though they weren't. It was all just a really sick game to Edward Ashton, aka the Riddler. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how Bruce deals with the fallout of the situation in his own way, and what exactly will he struggle with in terms of being Batman. Like what kind of struggles is he going to have? Is he going to be a little bit less perceptive in fights? Is he going to be, a little bit behind in terms of detective prowess? Is he going to be even more focused on his detective skill? I don't know. I have no idea what the hell is going to happen with Batman and Batman Part 2. Whatever Matt Reeves is cooking, I'm here for it. I will watch the fucking shit out of it. Without question. No doubt. No doubt at all. Let's see. Braden says, I can't see Mr. Freeze being the main villain of the Batman Part 2. The way Matt Reeves has been talking about Part 2. And I think the Court Owls or Hush is going to be the main villain. I mean, they're the names that have been thrown around the most. We'll see what happens. I fucking can't wait to see Oz get his ass beat by Batman. Justice for Vic. I know, right? If anything, the Penguin show showed us that Oswald Cobb is a bastard. It's an absolute bastard of a human being. I don't say that lightly either. I mean, the guy killed his own brothers just to get closer to his mom. He completely starts a whole gang war just to become top dog in Gotham City. He fucking murders his right-hand dude at the very end of it because he can't have any kind of emotional ties to anyone else after all this. And to top it all off, after his mother has a fucking stroke, of like life-threatening stroke that leaves her in a vegetative state, what does he do? He goes to the woman who ratted him out to Sophia Falcone, has her dress up like his mom, and then dances with her, and then says, tell me you're proud of me. Tell me I did good. It's like, what the fuck? Look, Colin Farrell did an amazing job. He did an absolutely amazing job with his performance in that role. But man, Oz Cobb is fucked up, dude. Like, he is all sorts of fucked up in the head, man. And I love it, but at the same time, I'm just like, damn, you've got some. If you thought Batman had it bad, if you thought Selena Kyle had it bad, fuck, Oz Cobb's got it pretty bad too. But the difference is, it's all entirely of Oz Cobb's own fucking making. Whereas bad things happen to Bruce and Selena while they were younger, Oswald brought all of this shit on himself, and yet he still managed to get out of these situations by being just as a despicable human being in his own way. And on top of that, he convinces himself that his lies are the truth. That is the ultimate narcissist right there. Oh my God, man. I wasn't expecting to talk about the Penguin as much as I was here, but fuck me. Like, that show is really good, dude. But yeah, I can't wait to watch Batman fucking give him the business in Part 2. Carmine Falcone was a son of a bitch of a father. Yes, he was. Yes, he fucking was. Everyone in the Penguin is a jackass. You were just like, how the hell are these people still living their lives? I mean, could you say any of them are clean? No. Could you say any of them were like less evil than some others? Yeah. Does that still make them like totally clean? No. Like Vic did some shit. Sophia did some shit. Fucking Dr. Simp is even guilty of doing some shit. Like this whole show literally showcases that people in Gotham City are just not good people. Like Gotham City is just full of fucking fucked up fucking people, man. No joke. Even his mom's a fucked up individual too. After she finds out Oz killed his brother, she's like, huh, should I kill him or should I keep him? Fucking wild, bro. Absolutely wild. Vic should have left town with his girlfriend when he had the chance. I know, right? Homie should have gotten on the fucking bus and just dipped. But, you know, then there's no story there. Francis is even a terrible person. She was going to kill Oz as a little kid. Yes, drown his brothers, but that doesn't justify you getting a gangster to kill a little kid. I mean, right? Right? Again, spoilers for the Penguin, but fuck! Like, the fact that Oz looked up to this guy, Rex Calabrese, and his mom was just like, yo, he killed his brothers. Can you, like... And Rex is like, well, you know, there's one of two ways you can handle this. You can either cultivate this or end it. And she just chose to fucking cultivate it. Even though at the end she was like, I am so sick. I am sick to my stomach the fact that you fucking came out of me. That you were just so fucking evil and so fucking like you make me sick to my stomach. Like that conversation they had that Sophia set up between the two of them in that fucking in that dance club. Whew, man, that one was rough. I was amazed at how Dr. Rush made it out unscathed. Yeah, Dr. Simp got the pretty easy stick of it all. He got to watch Sophia go completely batshit insane, help her get out of Arkham, and then when she went right back to Arkham, what does he do? He's back in Arkham. I'm like, well, did you like submit your resume again? Did you just ask for your old job back? Like, how the fuck did that work? Like, how in the fuck did you just go from not being employed at Arkham to being employed at Arkham again? Like, that to me is just one of the biggest, like, huh? Moments from the show. But even still, I was just like, okay, I'll run with it. There was like some rumor going around that he might have been written to be this version of the Scarecrow, but they scrapped that. I don't know. Maybe. Could have been cool. Could have been probably good that they didn't. But yeah, you know, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where Batman Part 2 heads. We'll see. We'll see where exactly that lands in October of 2026 and see if it lands with everyone else. But speaking of landing, there's some shit going on in Star Wars that is probably not going to land. But it all kind of begins with Rey Skywalker and the future of Star Wars. Now, I saw this article, I believe it was on Tuesday, and it's in regards to Daisy Ridley's Rey, the future of the franchise on the big screen. And then it was also announced today that an unnamed Star Wars film was actually yanked from the December 2026 release date. Why the fuck am I seeing this ad? There we go. Okay. And I'm assuming that was probably the Rey movie because that movie just lost its writer in Stephen Knight. There we go. All right, let's break this article down from THR. All right. It's titled Star Wars Movies, Race for Rey and the Future of the Franchise on the Big Screen. This was written by none other than Mr. Boris Kitt. Forget the Death Star. The most coveted weapon in the Star Wars movie arsenal is the character of Rey Skywalker. Since the November 7th reveal that Simon Kinberg had signed on to develop and write and produce a new Star Wars trilogy for Lucasfilm and Disney, debate has focused on whether or not that would be a continuation of the so-called 9-film Skywalker saga, trying it to the legacy of Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, and storylines first laid out by Lucas in 1977. The reason for the debate is that the new hoped-for trilogy would feature Rey in some form of fashion. Some fans have expressed criticism that Lucasfilm would return to make episodes, as they are called, beyond the 9 movies that comprise the Skywalker story, which would have been billed as the concluding with 2019's Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. The film grossed $1.077 billion globally, but also wasn't received well by much of the fan base. It received a B+ grade from audience polled by Cinema Scores of 51% critics tally on Rotten Tomatoes. But Rey the Scavenger turned Jedi, played by Daisy Ridley as the last 3 episodes movies, is the key to the franchise's next return. That potentially puts Kinberg's trilogy story development, as early in its conceptual stages as it may be, on a collision course with the standalone movie that is actively in the works with director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. The feature, revealed with fanfare in April 23 at the Star Wars Celebration in London, is to star Daisy Ridley. Could have already been in production were it not for some anticipated headwinds, with the writers rotating around more than R2-D2's Chrome Dome. A new writer search is underway, so it's unclear where that one would go. Perhaps this is why Lucasfilm was receptive to Kinberg's multi-story pitch, anything to move Rey forward. But it does engender rumors in the Star Wars underground of filmmaking jostling for characters. Ridley, for her part, recently told The Hollywood Reporter, "I feel like the new ones will be so interesting. Time has passed and a lot has changed for me personally. So it'll be interesting to come back to someone who I know so well, but in such a different moment." While insiders dispute the notion that there is a battle for Rey, there definitely is an internal deliberation within Lucasfilm as to what to do with the heir to Skywalker next. She is the most valuable cinematic asset, in some ways, maybe the only one Star Wars has right now. One source close to the franchise tells THR. Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian and Yoda, like Grogu, are Disney Plus creations and will have their big screen power tested with a feature directed by Favreau in 2026 that comes out in May, if I'm not mistaken. According to sources, Rey is set to play a role in several movies that are being developed, although which ones remain unclear. Star Wars movie development has been under scrutiny for several years, with Lucasfilm head Kathleen Kennedy taking fire for not developing meaningful characters beyond those first created by Lucas prior to the sale of Disney in 2012 for $4 billion. After the franchise looks forward in its canon timeline, all those beloved characters, Luke, Leia, Vader, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Han, are dead or had their storyline wrapped in prequels or spin-offs. Rey, created in the post-Lucas era, is arguably the only entity with currency on the big screen now. The closet is a little bare, says another source. What the Kinberg hiring lays bare is the development of movies that the company remain its own unique ecosystem. There are numerous Star Wars movies being developed that overlap characters or timelines. They are not related, but whatever one were to come out first could, in a domino effect, impact the other ones after it. Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie that takes place long before the Skywalkers may be one of the exceptions. Some Lucasfilm directors are aware of what others are working on, while others are not. For instance, Taika Waititi is working on a Star Wars movie that should be shelved. Sean Levy has a feature project in the works. Donald Glover's Lando idea has moved over development from a TV film to a film side of Lucasfilm. Rogue Squadron project is still in development as a feature. It's a different way of development, says another insider familiar working with the company's way of working. There's so much parallel work going on. It also points to the unique nature of Star Wars. To fans, in this case filmmakers and producers, it is not a brand or a franchise, but something akin to a religion. Unlike Marvel or DC, with decades of stories propelling them forward, or even Harry Potter with 7 fleshed-out books, Star Wars at its core has been the original George Lucas films. Nothing has been codified or been made more canonical in modern times than those 3 movies. To filmmakers and executives, the first trilogy is the Old Testament. You're being asked to create the New Testament, adds one source who worked on previous movies, and no one can agree on anything, and there's a lot of second guessing about meanings. Another source familiar with the process is more business-minded, noting Star Wars is a nostalgia-based enterprise, and they are running out of ways to create nostalgia. Well, that's kind of a shame. The television side doesn't appear to have these problems. Several insiders note that ARM has a lot more freedom to expand Lucas's universe, which is why there's been a varied slate that runs the gamut, for better or for worse, in the eyes of fans. From Andor, season 2 arriving in April, and The Acolyte not getting a season 2, as well as a corner for Ahsoka creator Dave Filoni, the chief creative officer at Lucasfilm. Another insider adds, to make a standalone movies or continue the Skywalker saga in any form is a fundamental question the company faces as it tries to move forward. Okay. Well, fuck. All right, look. Here's the thing about Star Wars. One thing I know for sure about Star Wars. The one thing I know for damn sure about Star Wars. Fans do not understand Star Wars as well as they think they do. That said, I think the notion of a lot of second guessing in regards to which projects happen and which don't, that to me is probably the most solid sounding truth in all of that article. And I'm not discrediting Boris Kit by any stretch of the imagination, but when you name, when you just name sources, insiders, whatever, and not actually give them names of who is actually speaking, you kind of have to take some of the stuff even with a grain of salt, even if it's coming from a credible trade like the Hollywood Reporter. However, that said, look at the way that Lucasfilm has been operating since the Rise of Skywalker. They have not had a feature film since the Rise of Skywalker. I believe Bob Iger said that they were pausing Star Wars films after the Rise of Skywalker, and they did. And we haven't gotten one since. It'll have been almost 6 or 7 years since from the time the Rise of Skywalker came out until the time that Mando and Grogu happens in May. It will have been, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 7 years. 7 years without a Star Wars movie. Now, that's not quite the biggest gap because there was 7 years. No, I take that back. There was about 10 years in between the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy. I do find it interesting that they seem to believe that Rey Skywalker is the only palpable asset character in their toy box right now, when you literally have John Boyega, Finn, as well as Oscar Isaac's Poe Dameron right there for the taking. Granted, in my opinion, the likelihood of Poe Dameron coming back is far larger than the likelihood of Finn coming back, because obviously John Boyega has had his very public egregiances with the big House of Mouse in regards to how they handled his character. So yeah, I think on the new film side, in terms of new characters, at this point you kind of just have Rey Skywalker. She's the one you want. She's the one that's probably going to be an easy film to make out of. I do think it's very interesting that the Kinberg movies and the Jedi Order film are not one and the same. To some respect, I feel like one, at least in my mind, the smart thing to do would be to have that Jedi Order film kind of springboard Rey into that trilogy that Kinberg is working on, if it is to be this Skywalker saga follow-up trilogy or whatever, or if it's an entirely new trilogy unto itself, but you want, whatever legacy characters you have come back. Like, to me, that really is like the best way to kind of approach it. But that's also not to say that you can't do stuff like James Mangold's, first Jedi film, which I'm excited for. I think that's a great idea. And that's also not to say that you can't have stuff in the current post Return of the Jedi timeline too, and right in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. Like, I think having Filoni there at the head as chief creative officer, that's a good thing. That's a very good thing, because I've been of the mind that no one really understood Star Wars as good as Lucas did until Dave Filoni came along. He is arguably the closest thing Lucasfilm has to a next generation George Lucas. And when it comes to his corner of the universe and, dealing with Ahsoka and Grand Admiral Thrawn and the Rebels crew, which, might I add, was co-created by Simon Kinberg. So if you have someone like Simon Kinberg writing a whole new trilogy, I'm probably repeating myself from last week, but it's still the truth. Like, you have these two guys who created brand new characters that weren't named Skywalker, and people give a shit about them. Like, they are names. Like, I've heard people like kind of down talk Ahsoka, and I really don't get it, because a lot of those characters were really beloved in a lot of ways. Ezra Bridger, Sabine, Ahsoka herself, Hera. Like, dude, like, people love those fucking characters. And I'm glad that they're getting a second season of Ahsoka. I'm glad that Filoni's actually getting the chance to make a movie for once. Like, he busted his ass with Clone Wars, and him and Kinberg fucking did great work with Rebels. I'm saying it. Like, if anyone deserves to work on Star Wars in Hollywood, it's them. Like, they get it. They absolutely fucking get the universe, get what works, but they're also not playing slave to the Skywalker name at all. Like, yeah, there are hints and nods, sure, but they are not beholden to utilizing Luke Skywalker. And I think that's the best thing they've ever done. By they, I mean Filoni and Simon Kinberg, and even Lucasfilm to an extent. I think straight up, like some of the best Star Wars stuff post, OG trilogy and prequel trilogy, even before The Force Awakens came out, was Rebels. Star Wars Rebels is like some of the best Star Wars ever fucking made. And I'm sure people can say Andor all they fucking want. Good for them. I hear you. More power to you. Andor ain't my bag, but hey, you get your second season in April. Good for you. But that's another thing about Star Wars. Star Wars isn't just exclusively one thing. It's not just Jedi. It's not just Sith. It's not just the Republic. It's not just the Resistance versus the Order. It's not just, Rebels versus the fucking Empire. It's all that shit. And you can fucking gravitate towards any one of those things. And it still, as a whole, can mean something to you. I mean, for crying out loud, there are people who are so much more invested in the scum and villainy cantina stuff in regards to Star Wars. Like, there are people who prefer a Han Solo to a Luke Skywalker. There are people who prefer, a Darth Vader to a fucking Darth Maul. There are people who would probably prefer Ahsoka to an Obi-Wan. That's just it. That's just the fucking beauty of Star Wars. And I love that for Star Wars. I do. Truly, I do. And I love that with the Disney Plus stuff, they've really taken extra steps to try and branch out from all of that. It's just a shame that some of these fanboys and some of these critics, they bitch and moan, we want new stuff. Well, then you get new stuff and you're like, well, it's not like the old thing. What the fuck do you mean it's not like the old thing? What the fuck do you mean? What? I don't get it. I don't. And I think Lucasfilm has the potential to be a giant in terms of IP fruition. And, the fanboy bullshit kind of holds him back a little bit. But at the same time, it's kind of a catch-22 because Star Wars is its very own sandbox. And in many ways, like the article I just read off, it is kind of a religion in a way, in that you have to keep things in a very specific tonality, in a very specific aesthetic, in a very specific look. Because if you deviate too far from that, all hell breaks loose, and we've seen that happen. It's and that's just the fucked up thing about Star Wars, is it's this reoccurring cycle of do new thing, fanboys bitch, young generation grows up with things that fanboys bitch about, then in like 10, 15 years, those fans who grew up with it are now old enough to be adults, and they get a new thing, and they're like, oh, this is kind of like the thing I remember, and they're a little bit more-minded to it. Meanwhile, the old crones who are still stuck on the OG trilogy and start to say things like, oh, maybe I was a little too hard on the prequel trilogy. No, fuck that. No. Fuck that. No. I grew up with the prequel trilogy. I've been told my whole damn life that I'm a fucking idiot because I like Phantom Menace. I've been told my whole damn life that I'm crazy because I like Revenge of the Sith. Okay? And I've been told that by people older than me, grown up. And that's some fucking gatekeepy bullshit. I'll tell you that right fucking now. So when time came for The Force Awakens to come out, and it was made, and and the fanboy in me, being a fan of those 6 movies, was like, oh my God, I finally have a movie that answers the question that I have. And that question is, well, what happens in Star Wars? What happens in that universe after Return of the Jedi? And I got that answer with The Force Awakens. Parallels be damned. Criticisms be damned. I don't give a fuck if the movie is a dark mirror of A New Hope. I don't. You want to know why? George Lucas said it best. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Guess what? The prequel trilogy, in many ways, mirrors the original trilogy. Now, whether you have the fucking brain power to comprehend what I just said, That is entirely up to you. But it's the fucking truth. It is. If you look hard enough, you'll see the parallels. I promise you, they're there. And in the same way, the sequel trilogy, in ways, mirrors the original trilogy. Does that kind of fuel the point of Star Wars being a nostalgia-driven franchise? Sure. Fine. Look at Batman. Look at all the other Batman movies that have come out since Batman 66 and Batman 89 and how they homage those fucking movies in their own little neat ways. Call it nostalgia, call it whatever the fuck you want. I'm just happy that Lucasfilm is finally kind of getting off their ass and doing more with the films, okay? That's just me, personally, okay? I like that you've got fucking all these different films in the development from a bunch of different people. Taika Waititi aside, because I think he's just a horrendous director and shouldn't ever be behind a camera ever again. But be that as it may, they've got a lot of other great people on a lot of really great sounding projects. And I hope to God they get made because they sound very promising. Because what they tried to do initially, they kind of tried to pull a bit of an MCU where you've got, the mainline 3 trilogy movies, and then you've got, these little spin-offs that kind of tackle different corners of everywhere else. And also, when you do something like what Rian Johnson did with The Last Jedi, i.e., you take a middle movie and you really do your own thing with it, so much so that people are just like, yo, what the fuck, man? And then you follow that up with Solo 6 months later, on top of the fact that you're kind of competing with yourself because, well, Avengers Infinity War came out literally at the end of April, and then a couple weeks later, Solo came out, and it's like, I'm sorry, but like Avengers completely trampled the fucking box office for like a good 2 months, and it showed. It even really kind of, in a weird way, cut the legs out of Solo, which was really unfortunate because that movie's really good, in my humble opinion. Anyway, I'm fucking talking too much about Star Wars. What are you guys saying about Star Wars? Let's check in with the chat. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna just fucking shoot my mouth off. Let's see. Mwamba says, whenever they try to move away from the Skywalker saga, what happens? Oh, yeah, the fanboys whine and complain. Those are facts. Those are some hard facts right there. I just wanted the Knights of the Old Republic movie. Hey, man, listen. The closest I got to that was The Acolyte, okay? Fuck me for liking The Acolyte, apparently. Phil, hope you're doing good. Looking forward to seeing Tyson destroy Paul tonight. Amen, Jake. Amen to that, brother. Hope you're doing well, man. The only movie we know that is coming is Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm expecting for that film to get delayed, and it was still being in the year 2026. It will just be on the same day as Doomsday. I feel like if Lucasfilm is smart, they will push it. They should push that movie. They should absolutely push it somewhere. They should push it somewhere else because I think Avengers Doomsday is going to clown at the box office. Like I think it is going to do some big numbers, and I don't think that Disney wants to try and play chicken with itself. That would be incredibly foolish. So hoping one of them moves, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's basically half a source if you don't actually name who or what the credible source is sourcing. Correct. Using that film as a springboard would be the smart thing to do. I know, right? Like it just seems like the most logical thing to me. Granted, obviously that film has to be good. It has to tell a good story, has to land with the GA. But at the same time, it's just like, look, almost 10 years ago, you had a bunch of little kids that grew up with The Force Awakens. They're now probably either getting ready to get out of high school. They are out of high school. They are young adults. A lot of those young girls probably look at Rey Skywalker in a lot of the same ways that a lot of us look at either Anakin or Luke Skywalker. Like, come on. You bring her back, her enough is going to be enough to get people at the fucking box office. I'm sorry. Like, that's just a goddamn fact. Oh, I can't wait for Mangold's film either. That's going to be a fun time, too. Droga says, what's up? Rebels is great. You're absolutely correct there. I think Rebels is amazing. Ahsoka here, Ahsoka, Hera, Sabine, Ezra. Yeah, those characters need to come back, and I think they will return in the Thrawn saga. I agree. I wholeheartedly believe that the Thrawn film will likely happen after the second season of Ahsoka. That's my guess. Oh my God, Jake, you are so correct. You are so right. Do I have a? Please tell me I've got a fucking just. Please tell me I've got something here. No, I don't. I need something, and I need an agreement GIF. I need an agreement video, and I don't have one yet, but I will find one. I will find a hell yeah, sounds good type of fucking yeah. All right, here we go. I love the bounty hunters in the Star Wars. See? Bounty hunters, scum, villainy, evil, you name it, man. That's the worst part right there, when they complain about things not being new and then still complain when they get new things. It's the fucking worst, man. Same thing with Marvel and their fanboy bullshit. Oh, man, we'll get there. We'll get to that. I saw Phantom Menace when I was 14 and saw Attack of the Clones when I was 17 and saw Revenge of the Sith when I was a junior in high school and had no problem with the movies. Big same, my guy. Except I was a lot younger than you. People who harp on nostalgia aspects of films continue to stump me. So the viewer is reminded of something they grew up with and that they loved. Why is happiness a bad thing to those cynical goofballs? I don't know. I have no idea. Do they really think people are going to go see Mandalorian and Grogu over Avengers Doomsday, which has Robert Downey Jr. as Doom? Nothing else needs to be said. I agree completely. And here's the thing about Star Wars fans. They live in a figurative imagination world. Well, they live in certainly some. And here's a clip that I just uploaded that okay, you know what? Let me rephrase this in an even better way. Anytime someone tells me that they're a fan of Star Wars and they then turn around and bitch about things Disney has done, this is what I'm thinking inside my head.
I'm like, that's cool, but you're living in a fucking dream world, okay? So
it's true. They're living in a completely alternate reality where they think what they say is fucking fact, and Disney and Lucasfilm are just going woke for broke, all that bullshit. When someone tells me that, you know, they hated The Acolyte, okay, fine, whatever. If you then proceed to tell me that you spent your time fucking bitching about it on social media, if you fucking bitch to me about how much you do not like Rise of Skywalker, and I'm just like, yeah, I get you, man. I like the movie. But if you continue to bitch to me about how much you do not like something, there is a high chance I will tell you that's cool, but you're living in a fucking dream world. Because let me tell you something. There is no way that Lucasfilm is ever going to listen to these obnoxious, dumb fans. God forbid if they do. God forbid if these think tank rooms full of fans telling movie makers how to make their movies actually happens, because that will be the death of creativity right there. Oh my God. The Star Wars fans are the only group to surpass the Snyder fans in terms of toxicity, which is saying something. And that's the thing, Jake. The Star Wars fans that act like this have been gestating since the mid-'80s, whereas the Snyder fandom really percolated in 2016 after what happened with Batman versus Superman and the hate campaign that was launched against that film and the criticism, the numbers, you know, whatever narratives people have to say about that film. In 2016 is when the Snyder fandom really began to fester and boil over, whereas with Star Wars, this has been a long time coming since the mid-'80s after Return of the Jedi. Because even then, when the prequels came out, let's not try and rewrite history here. People called the prequel movies garbage. People said George Lucas needs to give up Star Wars. And now some of these same fucking people are like, man, I wish George Lucas had Star Wars again. Why? Why? Pray tell. Why? I'm genuinely curious why you would think that. But I don't really try and entertain some of those people anymore, so there is that too. Anyway, moving right along. Speaking of Zack Snyder, saw this today. Zack Snyder sets a new film with Netflix. Saw this news and I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm never going to say no to another Zack Snyder movie. Ever. You will never catch me saying no to more Zack Snyder. Ever, bar none. Period, bar none. No. More Zack Snyder, that's a good thing for me. I'll say it all damn day. I don't give a fuck. I love that man. That man is awesome. He's a great creator. He's a fucking fantastic person. Really down to earth guy. Really inventive. Really smart. Really cool. Just an absolute awesome human being. All right, here we go. This is from The Hollywood Reporter. All right. Okay. Zack Snyder to direct, co-write LAPD action thriller for Netflix. Let's see. Zack Snyder is calling the cops. Well, that's a clever first liner there, Boris. With his 2-part epic sci-fi saga Rebel Moon behind him, the filmmaker is reteaming with Netflix for a new feature project. This is an untitled action film centered on the Los Angeles Police Department. Snyder will direct the feature and is co-writing it with Kurt Johnstad, who he has worked with on 300, as well as the Rebel Moon films. Zack is producing the film along with his wife and partner, Deborah, as well as their pal and good friend and EP through most of Zack's movies, Wes Collar. The project promises to be Snyder's first truly grounded feature, as it won't be populated by laser-shooting rebels, brain-eating zombies, bone-breaking Cape Crusaders, or limb-severing Spartans that have made up the oeuvre of the popular filmmaker. But it promises to be just as dramatic, thematically weighty, and action-packed. Specific details are being kept in lockup, but the action thriller is being described as being set in the high-stakes world of life and death and centered on an elite LAPD unit that is relentlessly confronted with the unforgiving collision of law and morality. The project will mark a full-circle moment for Zack. More than 20 years ago, he was seeking to transition from music videos and commercials. He had landed his first feature, SWAT, which was an action film up at Sony. He wanted to make, wait for it, an R-rated film. The studio wanted PG-13, and then Snyder promptly quit the project. However, certain ideas and concepts remain handcuffed to his brain. This is a quote from Zack himself. Years ago, Dan Lin, who's Netflix head of film, and I had a conversation about our shared interest in telling a compelling and visceral, character-driven story set within the intense, complex, and captivating landscape of the LAPD. It's a conversation that has stuck with me, said Snyder in a statement to THR. So as you would expect, I am very excited to now have the opportunity to partner with Dan along with the rest of my amazing partners at Netflix in developing this story. The new LAPD project will be the 4th feature film Snyder will have directed for Netflix after Rebel Moon Part 2, Scargiver, and of course Army of the Dead. It will be the 6th project Stone Quarry will have made for Netflix as the banner-produced Dead prequel, Army of Thieves, and the animated series Twilight of the Gods. And yeah, and it just goes on to say Zack has a pottery hobby this year, which grew into a unique deal with the Encino-based pasta bar to supply plates for the Michelin-starred restaurant, who is also repped by CAA and Sloan Offer. Okay, so Zack Snyder's making a new film, and it's centered around the LAPD. That's going to be fucking brutal. In a good way. I mean, look. Dan Lin is there. He's head of film now. Scott Stuber's no longer in the chair. Clearly, you know, what happened with Rebel Moon was pretty unfortunate, because I know Zack was really invested in that. And I'm kind of bummed we're not going to get more Army of the Dead. But in the meantime, you know, I think it's important for filmmakers to really spread their wings and flex their muscles a little bit. I think, you know, even earlier, Zack did talk about wanting to do something a lot more smaller scale, no CGI, et cetera, et cetera. So that to me, it's all good there. Like, that's all fine and dandy. Like I said, I'll watch anything Zack Snyder does. I have no issue with anything that man ever puts out. Period. Do I like some projects more than others? Yeah, absolutely. But I don't hate any of his projects. I don't outright like loathe or dislike any of the things that he's worked on. I think, you know, honestly, like doing a grounded tale centered around the Los Angeles PD, cool. It's bound to look good. It's bound to and look, a lot of the things Snyder's notorious for, outside of, you know, his amazing visual prowess, is the fact that he can make these really human moments feel weighty. And I do like that this is not going to be set in space. It's going to be in the real world. It's going to be very, very like on the ground. Like we're finally going to get a Zack Snyder film on the ground. Something like this hasn't been done since, say, 300 or even Army of the Dead. Like this I think is like going to be the first one where he's probably going to use a very minimal amount of CGI, which I'm sure Netflix is probably over the moon about, no pun intended. But I can't imagine this budget exceeding anything super high. But you know, time will tell. Netflix tosses coin wherever they want, whenever they want. Kind of like Amazon in that regard. But hey, you know, I'm here for it. I love Zack. I love his filmmaking. I love his writing style. I love a lot of what Zack Snyder does. I am a fan of the guy. My fucking Snyder cut, my fucking full circle poster is right there with his signature on it, for crying out loud. So look, like I said, whatever Zack does, I'm game. Easily. Let's see. Same thing with Kevin Feige. He's never engaged with people on social media because at the end of the day, he is creative and allowed to choose which Marvel characters he wants to do. Let's see. I get tired of fanboys. Like, people can get mad because a Superman suit that is not real suit that previous actor wore, because the real suit is somewhere that you can actually go see it. Oh, okay. Get torn, and then you go crybaby fanboys, just like James Gunn is disrespecting the Snyderverse. He did no such thing. Him and Zack are friends, and they're enemies, which they are not. Okay, I'm glad you brought this up, Braden, because this is actually another thing that I did want to talk about. That is, the Superman suit got torn to shreds. Not just the Superman suit, a Superman suit. Now, pulled this up from an article from Screen Rant, only because it was written by my good pal, Andy Babacht. Let's go ahead and break this down. James Gunn addresses how DCU Superman casting tests destroyed Henry Cavill's Superman suit. Quote, torn to shreds. And here's the quote right here. When a fan asked Gunn on Threads if it was true that Tom Brittney had accidentally torn Henry Cavill's Superman suit during the audition, the DC Studios co-CEO confirmed it to be the case. However, this also happened when David Corenswet came in for his test, as Gunn shared the following. Yes, Tom messed it up, and then Corenswet came in, and he was way too tall, so it just got torn to shreds. By the way, Tom is truly one of my favorite actors, incredibly talented guy. There's him confirming it, which was from a quote. I believe that's Spanish. I can't really tell, because my English is fucking awful. While Brittney didn't land the role for Superman in the end, Gunn stressed he is truly one of my favorite actors, incredibly talented guy. If he actually winds up in the DCU, wouldn't shock me. It is unclear which Superman costume was used from Cavill's time in the DCU movie timeline, as his suits were modified between Man of Steel, BVS, and of course Zack Snyder's Justice League. However, another fan asked if they used the original suits that Henry wore in the movies or a replica of sorts, as many were curious about what ended up being worn by Corenswet, Brittney, and whoever else was trying on Superman. It didn't take Gunn to reveal it was an original, but it was already not in the best shape. There it is. It was an original that wasn't in the best shape to begin with. Okay, so to me, it sounds like this was probably either the suit used for Man of Steel or maybe one for BVS. But even then, like, we've seen Henry Cavill in a Superman suit less than not even just 2 years ago in Black Adam. Like, he put on the Man of Steel suit for that. He put on a version of the Man of Steel suit for that movie. So it's not like this is like the only fucking suit or one of the only suits or, you know, one of the only few suits that Cavill's Superman wore. Like, there are multiple. There are multiple costumes for various reasons. And this is not an uncommon practice. Like, this is a thing that happens. Specifically for roles like these. Like, when Robert Pattinson and Nicholas Hoult tested for Batman, they used I believe the Val Kilmer suit and either the Kilmer cowl or the Clooney cowl, depending on how big the person's head was. Like, again, this is not an uncommon practice. And on top of that, Warner Brothers has these suits on display somewhere. I'm pretty sure there's even some in the studio tour that they do. I know for sure they've got plenty of Batman costumes they have on tour that are nice and pristine and look good. But hell, Henry Cavill's Superman suit was on display in Dallas a couple years ago when we were promoting the Snyder Cut. So It's kind of a nothing burger to get mad about, but I wouldn't know because I'm not on that god awful fucking application known as X, formerly Twitter. So I'm just kind of guesstimating that a lot of Snyder fans probably had a fucking wham fit over this, and if they did, well, you know, wah, like boo hoo. We don't
We don't do that here.
we don't do that here. No, we don't cry about spilled milk over here. No, sorry. But again, it's just a guess. I can't say for sure if it actually did happen or not. I have no frame of reference. Again, I'm not on that god awful application. So if there was some fanboy bitching, I'm sure it probably happened. And if it did, well, fucking tough cookies for them. Tough cookies for them, for sure. For sure. Anyway. Speaking of tough cookies, okay, now I'm definitely gonna start. Actually, no, you know what? Let's move on to this. This is actually kind of funny. Wicked. Mattel regrets misprinting on packaging for doll. So a coworker actually brought this to my attention. I believe it was Tuesday. This is way too funny. This had me laughing. This was so funny. So while we're promoting the Wicked film, and there, of course, there are, dolls made by Mattel. Mattel deeply regrets adult site's misprint on Wicked dolls. Toy manufacturer Mattel has said it deeply regrets a misprint on packaging for dolls inspired by the new Wicked movie, which lists the address for an adult website. The company recently released the singing dolls ahead of the long-awaited film starring Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. But eagle-eyed fans posted images on social media showing the packaging had a pornography website on it instead of the movie's web address. In a statement, Mattel apologizes for the unfortunate error and advises parents that the misprint website is not appropriate for children. I purchased the Sing and Elphaba doll, and upon inspection, the website printed on the back of the side of the Mattel box, right above the barcode, is listed as an unaffiliated adult not safe for work 18 plus website. One person posted on Reddit. Are you seeing this? Another US based woman said, went to Target and Walmart today, and yeah, the Wicked dolls have the website listed on them. Oomph. 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 Oh. I'm sorry. This is just so just out of fucking left field, and so just like, really? That's a thing that happened? What the fuck? Good job, Mattel. Good job. Great job. Good job. I'm sure someone in the marketing department is probably getting fired, or at least someone in the merchandising department might get fired. I don't know. Someone's losing their job. Someone is for sure losing their job over this one. Damn straight. Oh my God. Oh man. I have no idea how this is even possible, but man, that's some fucking funny shit, isn't it? I feel bad for the parents that bought the toys. I mean, I'm just like, how do you make such a monumental fuck up on the packaging for a child's toy? Like, these are not the toys you're looking for. Oh my God, I'm just flabbergasted by this. This is so funny and strange to me, man. I'm laughing the entire way to the bank with this one. This is just too funny to me. Way too funny. As soon as my coworker told me this, I said, you've got to be fucking shitting me. And I looked it up, and sure enough, it was a thing. I was like, wow. The kid is probably like, that was totally wicked. Oh man, Mom, you want to check out the Wicked website? Oh Christ on a can. Oh my God. Oh man. Okay, speaking of movies that are getting some marketing, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning Hell of a title there, Tom. Hell of a title there. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Cool. I'm here for it. I didn't. I did recently. By recently, I mean like within the last 6 months. I saw Dead Reckoning. Back when it was still, I caught it on Paramount Plus, and it was still called Dead Reckoning Part 1. And now it's just called Dead Reckoning. And now we're in the Final Reckoning. Of course, directed by the one Chris McQuarrie, starring Tom Cruise. There was a trailer. I have yet to watch it. Can we watch it here? Let's watch it here. Let's watch the trailer here. Let's do it. Let's do that. Let's do that, right? Let's do that. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. And I'm going to put closed captions on because I'm not going to play the audio for, I just don't want to get hit with a copyright. So, let's just go ahead and be safe than sorry. Go ahead and move tabs here real quick. There we go. Full screen this. And then present. Oh, Travis is here. I haven't watched the last 3 of my films. I need to play catch up before next year. Okay. Fallout is great. Dead Reckoning Part 1 is also great. I still think Fallout is the better movie. But that's just me. Anyway. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Damn it. Present. Share screen. Here we go. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. All right. Some snow, some music, Icelandic. Oh, airplane. And Tom Cruise movie. That's not surprising. More airplanes in a Tom Cruise movie. Our lives are not defined by any one action. Our lives are the sum of our choices. Everything you are. Oh, okay. So they're doing like montages of all the other previews. Okay. I can get behind that. Oh, more planes. Oh, Angela Bassett's back. That's right. I remember reading that. Except for every... Oh, right. Oh, Ving Rhames. That's right. Yeah. Angela Bassett. There she is. Wow. This is pretty cool. This movie comes out in May, right? Is it May or July? Oh, oh man. I got a bad feeling that Ethan Hunt's going to fucking bite the bullet in this movie. Oh, that is a big fucking bomb. Holy shit. Haley Atwell. Oh man. She's just really good on the eyes. Huh. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Yeah, May 25. How about that? Well, Tom, that looked good. I hope you're not debuting that around the time of Avengers Doomsday, because that would be welp. That would certainly be something, wouldn't it? That would definitely be something. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm gonna have to watch that later with the sound on. And yeah, that looks cool. I mean, I'm not like the biggest fan of Mission Impossible, but I like the last 2 movies enough, so I'll probably wind up watching this one just to say, I finished it out. But yeah, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, coming May of 2025. Now, you know what else is coming 2025? Whole lot of shit from Marvel. So Mr. Kevin Feige was out there talking to, I believe the Brazilian outlet, the Omelette, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know. But he was dropping some juicy tidbits about Moon Knight or Blade and fucking Wanda Maximoff. Like when they apparently they know when Scarlet Witch is going to come back and how, which I think is a cool idea. They were talking about how they're going to do 2 movies and 3 shows a year following 2025. So Marvel basically came to D23 Brazil and info dumped everything about what's to come, right? And it's like, oh, neat, cool. They gave us a lot of cool stuff to look forward to. I'm definitely glad that we're finally getting. It's going to be a pretty stacked year next year for Marvel. You've got fucking Captain America, Brave New World in February, and then in March there's there's a fucking TV show in March, Daredevil Born Again. There's nothing in April, and then in May you have Thunderbolts. June, Ironheart. In July you've got Fantastic Four. Is there something? I don't think there's anything in August. I think there's something in September. Marvel Zombies is in October, and then in December for sure they've got Wonder Man coming. So yeah, and of course What If at the end of this year as well. And I think Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is in January. So yeah, a lot of good stuff coming from the Marvel pipeline. But they also did, just like Kevin Feige was out there talking a whole lot about what's to come for Marvel Studios in the next few years. So that'll be cool. I'm looking forward to it. I've been a Marvel fan since The Incredible Hulk. Well, actually, to be fair, I've been a Marvel fan since I could watch Spider-Man, the animated series. But I'm looking forward to whatever Marvel has cooking. And yeah, I think that's about it for this episode of Friday Phil, guys. Just want to give a shout out to Braden, Droga, Jake, Mwamba, Travis. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it very much. Do the thing, hit that notification bell, like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Helps get the show noticed. Yeah, that's about all I got. I've got more Pokemon stuff coming because I just got my GameCube fixed, or rather I got my GameCube replaced. So I'll be doing more GameCube stuff in the coming days for retro plays. Like I'm doing a replay right now of Pokemon Coliseum. I just put up a new episode last night. And then, I've got the Eternal Night podcast. Craig and I just dropped an episode of that. We're going to do a Wonder Woman retrospective here very, very soon. And then after that, we will be doing Justice League. I won't say which one, even though I might have already spoiled it on the last episode of the podcast. But yeah, do me that favor, hit like and subscribe, share. Really helps get noticed. That's all I ask. Much love to everyone who tunes in every week and listens to my bullshit. Yeah, there was a lot of Jurassic stuff too. I did see those images. Scarlett Johansson holding a sniper rifle. That looks cool. But yeah, follow me on the socials, everywhere except X. Just search for my name, Unfiltered, pretty much everywhere. Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, Vero. I'm everywhere except X. So yeah. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Much love. Take care. Have a great Friday. And you will see me on the vodka stream later. Take care.